Hi everybody. Okay. This is another video I wanted to make, but I wanted to watch the episode before I made it because okay, I think a lot of my audience already knows this, but I'm very attached to this series because it was the first series I've seen with a disabled character, namely an autistic character as the lead. And also the first successful drama I've seen where they give the character an actual full life. Because I've seen characters with other types of disabilities, like my own and otherwise, be given small parts and then just like whisked away, or like they have a life kind of, but then it's not a full life because they say, well, he or she can't handle it. So, yeah. So to say I had high expectations for this would be an understatement. And I'm glad to report that they rose to my expectations and probably did a little bit better. But I'll explain. Okay, so this series followed uh, doctors at the fictional St. Bonaventure Hospital, and the main character was Dr. Sean Murphy. Only problem was he was autistic, so the board was very reluctant to let him become a doctor in the first place. But there were one person on the board on his side, Dr. Aaron Glassman, and also his first friend, Dr. Claire Brown, because she believed him. Because everybody thought that he was just, I don't know, a crazy person speaking like didn't know what he was talking about, kind of a thing. Okay, so this all comes full circle because we're in season 7 now. So I was kind of curious what they were going to do with the characters, how they were going to say they moved on with their life, and yada yada yada. Okay, well, we have a lot of characters here, so it might take me a couple of minutes here. But I'll give you the main ones, alright? Um, okay, we have Sean Murphy, like I said, Leah, his wife, Dr. Aaron Glassman, Dr. Neil Melendez, but I'll explain him in a minute. Dr. Morgan, Dr. Park, Dr. Alex Park, and the head or the co-president at some point, but now she's going to be the president. I'll explain that in a minute. And Claire Brown and another guy, I forgot his name, his character's name, but I'll explain that too. Okay, alright, so beginning episode, we see Sean, and he's a kid in the first scenes. He's a kid and he has autism, but back in those days, they didn't know what autism was. So his father just thinks he's weird, odd, and he says, why can't you just be normal like other kids? Okay, here's the problem with that. Number one, he can't be like other kids because he's autistic. And I mean, because he doesn't take social cues like everybody else, and he doesn't behave like everybody else. Two things. But then also, he had a pet, Bunny. Okay? Well, the father is so angry, he says, would you quit petting that rabbit? Throws the rabbit against the wall. The rabbit dies, and he's devastated. Sean is devastated. And then his father just basically says what I said, screaming at him. So his brother Steve says, we gotta get out of here. So then from that point on, they're 13 and like 10. raising themselves because they're getting out of a very toxic situation. Okay, so then they're playing like they want to meet some friends. So they meet up with a big group of kids. Steve, the brother, is on top of the train, loses his footing, falls. He dies. Okay, so from the beginning of the whole thing, you understand how much loss this character has already been through. Okay, then the layers start happening because, and this is all told in like memories and everything, because you have the character of Sean Murphy, Freddie Highmore, but then you have him like he's remembering, and that's how some of the pieces get put together. He meets Dr. Glassman because he wants to take care of his rabbit, and he says, well, the rabbit is gone, so I can't really do anything. But then he meets him. That's how they meet. Then Dr. Glassman, I'm pretty sure, realizes how the dynamics of the family are. So, there's that. Okay, and then when he's going to St. Bonaventure, he has to go through the airport. And this is the first case where we see him do what he's going to be like in the whole series. He's very smart. He looks at every detail. So he sees a boy, and there's a guy on a scaffold putting up a sign. But the glass shatters and breaks out, okay? Happens to break out on top of the little boy. So the little boy gets, with glass shards and starts bleeding profusely. He has to do a medical procedure right there, but he saves his life. Okay? Meanwhile, the backdrop is they're figuring out if they want to hire him or not. And then also he's trying to tell the doctors what happened to the little boy, but he can't tell them right away because it takes him a while to process what they're trying to ask him. So Neil Melendez wants the answers right away. Right away. But then Clay Brown is the one saying, okay, let's slow down. Well, and then he tries to tell him, I think the answer is X. But they're like, oh, come on, that never happens. And then the Claire says, well, maybe it could. And then that's the beginning of their friendship. Okay, so then trying to go to season 7, the last episode. Okay, Aaron Glassman has been a friend for the whole time. And Aaron Glassman has also had some sort of cancer the whole time. Like on and off. And at this point, he knows there's no cure. It's terminal and no cure. Okay? But Sean, being one of his best friends, can't handle the news. So he devotes himself to coming up with some kind of miracle cure. But Glassman doesn't want it. Glassman knows that if he gets the treatment, he might get the treatment, okay? But he's going to be sicker than he would be, probably lose memories and all this other stuff. So he doesn't want that. He wants to spend his remaining months, like 6 months, with Sean, Leah, his wife, and Steve, their son. So the character of Sean has progressed so much that he's married and now has his own child. Now, okay, so we have that as the problem, right? One of the problems. You think that's the main problem. No, you'd be wrong. Okay, well, Claire Brown comes back, and turns out she has a big problem, but no one knows what it is first. Everybody thinks she has MRSA. And MRSA is a bacterial infection that, if not treated, you will um, pass away from it. Okay? So they think it's that, but it doesn't test positive the way it should. So then they come up with what it really is, and the name is too long for me to remember what it was. But just suffice to say, it's kind of a bacterial something you would get from Guatemala, because she has been in Guatemala for the past 2 years. So, okay, basically you're trying to save 2 lives here. Only thing is, one person doesn't want to be saved, and the other person you want to save, and they probably, well, I mean, they want to live, but you have to find the cure or what can help them. So, okay, so then the cure is, well, kind of, they have to put her in a coma, Claire Brown in a coma, to possibly be able to save her. However, one of her arms is not acting correctly, so they have to decide to amputate or they're gonna lose her. So her guy she was with in the first episode, they want a relationship now, and he's the one to decide. She'd say, just give up the arm and let me live. So that's what they do. And then in the last 5 or 10 minutes, you see them going 10 years in the future. And why this is important is because I love it when they jump in the future when you know they're going to. So it kind of tells you where everybody's at 10 years from now. Okay, well, they show Sean Murphy giving a TED Talk, which is great. And they show all the friends in the audience. Claire and the other doctor are now married with a child. Sean is still married, and now they have 2 kids. The boy and the girl, I don't know what the name is. That would have been nice to know, but and then Alex Park and Morgan adopted their son, and they got married. So you see how everyone's progressed in the whole story. So it was a nice ending, but I did cry. But I gotta give you guys a little warning. If you're gonna watch, like in my last video, A Million Little Things and then The Good Doctor, don't watch those things back to back. You'll cry harder than you'd like. But yeah. But I like the full circle moments and stuff. And also you get to see that Claire Brown and Sean created the Aaron Glassman Foundation, and now they run it. So that's really cool. Oh, and the other doctor, the co-president, she didn't take the presidency because she decided to move to another country because she told her mother, and her mother was worried about the language difference, and she says, well, Mom, they have translators. So she went off to wherever it was, forget, because she had either the option to stay at the hospital or to go to another country to be with the guy that she was with for a couple of years. So she decided to move. But yeah, it seems like everybody ended up happy and healthy. So I like that. All right, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ruin it. If I ruined it, I'm really sorry. I'm sure I didn't say everything, so there's probably some holes to fill in. But alright, bye guys.